Climate change is not a new issue, but today modern society is increasingly conscious of the influence that humans have on the planet and the extent to which our lifestyles are affecting weather systems worldwide, and racing is not immune to those issues.
The impact's already happening. That's going to magnify as we move into the future in the next 10, 20, 30 years as we move forward.
I am entirely preoccupied by weather for 7 months of the year. You're trying to make decisions about how much water to put on, and you're balancing that all the time with what might or might not fall out of the sky.
We're lucky in the British Isles that we have a relatively moderate climate, not too cold, not too hot, although we're seeing more extremes, and that's what we have to get ready for.
Russell, just start by giving us a little bit of an idea. What do you think are going to be some of the key areas that climate change impacts in horse racing from the outset?
BASIS has started working with the Racing Foundation recently. We've started to have conversations around what impacts are already being felt. If we're looking forward 2 or 3 decades, maybe even towards 2050, average temperatures are going to increase. Now that may seem that will be pleasant, just to be 1 or 2 degrees warmer in the summers and more mild winters, but it doesn't quite work that way. It's an average, so what we're actually going to see is some very high peaks. We will see days in the summer where we're consistently above the mid-30s, possibly even pushing into 40-degree temperatures.
An increase in temperature could pose a problem to several aspects of the sport, not least to the horses themselves, who, just like humans, are sensitive to changes in temperature.
The horse is really pushing all of its regulatory systems to the limit. So it's reasonable to think that on a hot day, it could push itself to the point it has heat stress and overheats itself. But a particularly big thing with the horse is becoming adapted to it and acclimatised to it. I think a couple of years ago we did have a spring once where it was 13 degrees one week and then 30 the next week. That would have been very challenging for the horse.
Tackling entries for horses when there are extremes in certain grounds at certain places, is it something that is a challenge for a trainer?
Definitely, you have to change when you send the horses there. We send them with fans to the racecourses, and not all racecourses are ready, and we have to phone ahead and so to make sure can we have a box with electric so we can have a fan for our horse. We had a listed winner at Haydock, I think last year, under the stars. She won and it was 31 degrees, but we rung ahead, got ready, got a box in the shade. She had 2 fans in a stable. Fortunately, she won. So yeah, we already think about it, and it's something we're going to have to think about more.
And as well as welfare of horses, there's the element of tropical diseases, for example, or viruses that they get in warmer temperatures that we don't get here. Is there anything on that front that we could be concerned about in the future?
To give you one very topical example, West Nile virus, it's caused by mosquitoes, and currently we don't have those mosquitoes. So the chances of us getting it at the moment is very low. It's currently exotic to Britain, and it used to be exotic to Europe, but we're now seeing it in southern Europe, in southern Germany, in Italy. We're seeing cases, and fortunately there is a vaccine. But if Britain heats up any more and the correct mosquitoes fly across from southern Europe, then we will see it, and we have to be ready for it.
Ground staff up and down the country will also have to bear the brunt of the effects of climate change, as more extreme weather would only compound the already uphill task of preparing tracks for year-round racing. Here at Windsor, racing doesn't even take place during the winter months, but for Sophie Candy and her team, that doesn't stop meetings being abandoned throughout the year due to the unrelenting weather conditions.
I've been here since 2019, and in 2019 we had a fairly smooth run through the summer. I lost 1 in October. In 2020 I lost 1 in August, and then I lost another 1 in October, so that was 2 in 2020. This year was an entirely different ball game. I lost 1 in May. I lost a last race in May due to rainfall. I lost a meeting, I think it was the 24th of May, and then I lost the 21st of June. We then had a 3-day festival, and we had every different type of going over those 3 days. So we had good ground on the Saturday afternoon. It dried all the way back to good firm on the Sunday, and I got 23 mil overnight on the Sunday. I was soft ground by the Monday, and I remember going out on it on the Tuesday morning, and it was unbelievably wet. And I just said, look, this is going to really struggle for next Monday, and we made the decision to move that one to Lingfield.
Annual precipitation in the UK has been steadily increasing over recent decades. And with experts predicting that trend to continue, there doesn't appear to be any letting up for ground staff on the horizon. So rain being the principal problem this year, if we talk about high temperatures for a minute and people are very quick to say, well, you know, you can water the track, you can irrigate. Is that true? Is that an easy thing to manage?
It's hard work. You know, these are vast areas of ground to irrigate. And again, for many, that's going to become an issue with extraction licences and how much water you can extract if we start to go into long, prolonged periods of dry weather. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be costly to sort that out, to start collecting your own rainwater and building reservoirs and that sort of thing in order to irrigate.
Down the road at Ascot, they do just that. The huge 480-metre long grandstand acts as a funnel for rainwater and filters into a reservoir to be used for watering the course. An increase in the use of all-weather tracks could also be a necessary course of action, where the artificial surfaces are more resistant to extreme hot, cold and wet weather. Infrastructure such as this may well become a necessity for all racecourses up and down the country in the coming years.
I think climate change is a huge problem for sport moving forward. It's a huge problem for society. Every venue, every governing body needs to have this in some kind of risk analysis. You know, we all do financial risk analysis when we're planning our events. Climate change isn't something we've put into that yet.
I don't know if it is on people's radars in this country, and I think it should be. Do I think it's a serious threat to British racing at the moment? Not so much. I think it's more something that we have to be ready for and have to be prepared for.
I think there's absolutely no doubt that climate change is happening. We knew it was there, we knew it was happening, but I think the last few years have probably shown us quite how dramatic the effects are and can be.
But the real magic for sport is the reach that we have, and we can actually talk very honestly to our spectators and the people that watch our sports and say, we're going to be impacted by climate change. So really we should take it seriously and we should do something about it.